lives of women, of girls, mobilize young people, and hold our leaders accountable. The youth is our future, and if there's one thing we can do properly, every one of us, in terms of investing in our future, is to invest in youth and women. So thank you all for joining us this morning, and I promise you this is going to be a fantastic announcement. Thank you very much.
As you heard, this is going to be a fantastic announcement. I've already taken a peek. Thank you so much, Dr. Precious. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for inspiring us, and of course, the kind words that you've shared this morning. I'd like to call upon the CEO of Global Citizen, Mr. Hugh Evans. Thank you.
Well, good morning, and it's a real pleasure to be here in Johannesburg with you. My name is Hugh Evans, and I had the privilege of spending some time living in KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. So I wanted to start today in Zulu saying, Sanbonani Bafawethu. Ninjani. Kuhle kakhulu. Gamalami Hugh. Giyabonga kakhulu. Dr. Precious. Giyahlala e Australia, Giyatakoza Agubalapa, Giyayitande in South Africa. Siyapelalapa isiZulu Sami. Nga pandle kwalamazwi, izandla ziyagazandla, omuntu gomuntu gabantu, watinda abafazi, watinda imbokodo, amandla away to. That's all. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for the honor of Global Citizen being in your presence today. It is really about honoring the legacy of arguably the greatest global citizen of our time, the late Nelson Mandela Madiba Tata, the man who we all admire and the reason why we're here today. Mandela dedicated his life to the eradication of extreme poverty and the end of apartheid in South Africa and the transformation of the Republic of South Africa. And like all of you, he inspired me so deeply. And so Global Citizen is committed this year to honor his legacy in the year that he would have turned 100. This is the festival Mandela deserved. And December 2nd will mark the most significant event that Global Citizen has ever produced. We're proud to be doing it in partnership with the Kbn Foundation and honored that the House of Mandela has been our proud partner in this endeavor. And there are so many amazing partners who are with us today, those that have been acknowledged already by Dr. Precious, but if I can add also our partner Mfundo from Nedbank, who's here, Laura from Johnson & Johnson, who's amongst our midst, Chuck Robbins from Cisco, who's actually doing an interview in the United States right now about this very same thing on MSNBC. There's Laura. And also Atty Van Wyck from Big Concerts, who's with us today. David Rosio from HP. Ari Untrecht from Eldridge, who's here on behalf of Todd Bowley. Thank you so much for making the trek from Los Angeles. And Moki from the Gates Foundation. I think you're here. And also I'd like to acknowledge Abby Mokwansane from Vodacom, and also our chairman, Peter Murphy, who's in the front row, and those that have already been acknowledged, our incredible partners who are here with us today. So thank you to all and every one of you. In one of his final speeches in 2005, Nelson Mandela said something really important. He said, firstly, that overcoming poverty is not a gesture of charity, it's an act of justice. That's why Global Citizen focuses on systemic change, not just traditional philanthropy, as worthy as that is. Secondly, he said, like slavery and apartheid, poverty is not natural, it is man-made and can be overcome and eradicated by the actions of human beings. That's why Global Citizen focuses on action, because we believe action should be the currency of everything that we do. And then finally, he said, sometimes it falls upon a generation to be great. You can be that great generation. And I don't know about you, but I believe we need greatness in 2018 now more than ever. In our political leadership, in our social leadership, in our moral leadership. We need a compass that says we can be better and we can stand for something. We can stand for a world where no child should die for lack of a 30-cent immunization in a world of plenty. And that's why we're here today. And so the thing that makes Global Citizen unique is that you can't buy tickets to the Global Citizen Festival. You have to earn them. The tickets are free in exchange for your actions in what you learn, say, give, buy, or do. All of your actions earn you points, and you can use those points to come to the Global Citizen Festival for free, but it's in exchange for everything that you've participated in over the next 6 months in the lead up to the festival on December 2nd. We are partnering with the United Nations, and I'm proud to announce that the United Nations Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed has confirmed her attendance for December 2nd, alongside President Cyril Ramaphosa, alongside the President of Ghana, the Prime Minister of Norway, Dr. Tedros of the WHO. Many heads of state have already confirmed their attendance for this historic moment. But we are working to ensure that there is accountability around the Sustainable Development Goals. These were 17 goals and 169 indicators agreed upon by all of the world leaders just 3 years ago, designed to eradicate extreme poverty, tackle injustice, and also tackle climate change. These goals represent the roadmap for the future, and December 2nd will mark a historic moment in that. Now, we have been working really hard, and I'm indebted to our amazing producers. In addition to Naomi Campbell, we also have wonderful producers, Dave Holmes of Coldplay, Declan Kelly from Tenio, some amazing group of people who've come together to be part of this historic moment. And the lineup that our musical curator, Chris Martin, has put together is truly world-class. He's brought together the best international artists with the best African artists to come together to create true unity around the globe. Chris Martin is the lead singer of Coldplay, and he made a 15-year commitment to take Global Citizen to a new market every year for the next 15 years until we achieve that great aspiration of a world without extreme poverty by 2030. In the first year, Coldplay and Jay-Z, together with the blessing of Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India, took Global Citizen to Mumbai. Last year, with Pharrell Williams and Shakira, Coldplay took Global Citizen to Hamburg for the G20. But this year, I'm pleased to tell you, this is the most ambitious project we've ever embarked upon. And so, without further ado, I know you want to hear the lineup. So, because he has been such an amazing partner in crime and such an amazing patron to our organization, I wanted to throw to my dear friend and dear colleague, Patrice Motsepe, to tell you who the headliners will be. And then...
Am I on?
Yeah, you're on.
Okay. I must say how proud I am of you. When you came to talk to me and tell me about the absolutely incredible work that Global Citizenship has done, and of course my wife also came to tell me about the great work. And I've been invited several times and haven't had the honor to attend this amazing concert. But it's what you do is in line with what our former president and icon and father would expect from all of us, to focus on the poor, the marginalized, the unemployed. And I remember also we once had a project together, and when I said that those of us who are successful and rich and wealthy in South Africa and on the continent have no future if the poor and unemployed and marginalized do not have a future. He pulled me aside and said, always remember that. But just the work that you guys do and what this concert will be all about is in line with what Madiba and inspired all of us to do. Now, without further waste of time, because I've got to hand over back to him, and he will give the rest of the lineup. I've been getting emails, and I told you, I've been getting emails and SMSs, and I've stopped giving people my cards, saying, Patrice, can you bring certain people to South Africa? Over many, many years. I had to wait for you And I had to wait for Madiba. And I had to wait for everybody, all of you. And I'll talk later for the exceptional work that you've done. So without further ado, the headline artist, and you will give you the other very exciting ones, will be Beyonce and Jay-Z. Let's clap hands for them. This is, I mean, as you said, absolutely outstanding to honor the most special human being that walked the earth. Over to you, Hugh.
Yes.
Let's clap hands for global citizenship.
And Naomi said something really important this morning when she was on SABC. She said, this is the festival Madiba deserved. And I think that that's very wise words. And I'm pleased to tell you the full lineup of the 2018 Global Citizen Festival Mandela 100 is Beyonce, Jay-Z, Casper Neuvest, D'banj, Ed Sheeran, Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam, Femi Kuti, Pharrell Williams, Chris Martin from Coldplay, Shoma Josie, Tiwa Savage, and then also Usher and Wizkid.
Wow!
This is the
It feels
greatest.
like Christmas.
No, continue talking.
So, one thing I want to say in closing before I pass back to our incredible MC Nomzamo is that we can get carried away by the power of music and the power of artistry, but I want to remind everyone that the reason why we're here is to eradicate extreme poverty. That's our mission and that is our true north. So the thing that will differentiate us over the next 6 months is not how amazing this festival becomes with 100,000 people all together, but the true litmus test will be whether the 750 million people still trapped in the cycle of extreme poverty can lift themselves out of poverty. And that's going to require investment in education. It's going to require investment in food security, in the empowerment of girls and women, in global health, and also in water and sanitation, but also job creation. We need to see these core ingredients come together, and that's how people will earn their way to the festival, by taking either systemic action or direct action on those 6 main thematic points. But I want to remind us, as carried away we will be by the amazing artistry, our true north is always whether we end extreme poverty. Thank you.
You've been listening to the press conference about the Global Citizen Festival. Big concert on the cards and some big names heading to South Africa. The Carters are on their way.
Inspiring. Thank you, Hugh. Thank you for that call to action that each and every one of us needs to dig deep. Yes.
Sorry, one thing I forgot is we have a message from Chris Martin all the way from Los Angeles, where he is now, and he wants to share with you this special video, so I'm going to roll it now.
More Christmas. Yay.
Yes.
Cute.
Did you know it's been 100 years since Nelson Mandela Madiba was born?
Yeah,
And he said we could be the generation.
to alleviate extreme poverty.
So, Global Citizen is going to come here to the FNB Stadium in Johannesburg on December the 2nd, 2018 to do a concert featuring the likes of
Pharrell Williams,
Shoma Josie,
Chris Martin,
Ed Sheeran, Casper Neuvest,
Usher,
Femi Kuti,
Eddie Vedder,
D'banj,
Wizkid,
Tiwa Savage,
Beyonce.
Jay-Z. Have you heard of any of these people?
Are you joking right
Yeah, it's
now?
only a big joke. No.
This is too much. Okay, but this is the craziest part about this, is that you actually can't buy tickets. So how do people come here?
Thank you for asking. You earn your free tickets by taking actions to alleviate extreme poverty.
And together, we can be the generation.
Do we have any more surprises, Hugh? Are you sure?
There is a couple more big ones.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. I've run out of breath. She is a producer of Global Citizen. She is the host of Global Citizen. She is the honorary granddaughter She, of Utata Nelson Mandela, she is supermodel, she is philanthropist, she is global citizen. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Naomi Campbell.
Good morning. I'm truly honored to be here today at the official launch of Global Citizen Festival here in my second home, South Africa. And I've been coming here for almost 25 years, I think, yeah. And South Africa holds a very special place in my heart, which I think you all know. As you've heard so far, the festival is the culmination of the Global Citizens Mandela 100 campaign, celebrating the legacy of Nelson Mandela in his centenary year. Madiba was a man whose values and wisdom have left a lasting imprint on the world. And I cherish everything he taught me in giving, sharing, and forgiving. And I look forward to celebrating his life with you all on December 2nd. It's an even bigger honor to be here, not only as your co-host and as a producer of the event, but I think I will tell you how invested I am in Global Citizens and everything they do. I particularly support Global Citizens' movement to end extreme poverty over the world by 2030. This is a goal that I believe should be achievable and imperative that we reach it. Before we get to the detail of the concert, which you all know, which is going to be a joyous, star-studded affair, because there's lots of people we haven't told you, it's a show that is aimed at inspiring people and creating awareness of the work of Global Citizen, as we are all a global citizen. We can't turn on our television or read a newspaper without hearing heart-rending stories about migrants journeying across the Mediterranean or struggling to escape in conflict. At the same time, we can hear the sound of doors slamming shut, populist politicians jumping on the bandwagon and exploiting the human misery. So when you think about it, all of us in here, we are all global citizens, whether we like it or not. Air travel, social media, climate change, and television have connected us to such a degree that it is no longer possible to put our head in the sand and pretend our brothers and sisters do not exist. We are all in this together. Of course, there are practical problems that we need to overcome. How to look after look after houses of people, how to ensure that indigenous populations are respected too. But let's try and approach these challenges with a sense of positivity, hope, even excitement, and not to bow down to the dark forces and to those who would turn the clocks back 100 years. That moment has passed, and that's why I'm thrilled to be part of Global Citizens Festival, and why it's wonderful to see so many of you here today. We are all global citizens, do not forget that. So now let's celebrate it. Thank you.
Wow.
Oh, we do have one surprise that we didn't tell you. Can I tell?
Yeah, you can.
So we have a lady who's more than an icon, who built a beautiful girls' school here in South Africa. Who would that be?
Oprah.
Yes, Oprah Winfrey will be joining us too.
Thank you so much, Naomi Campbell, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the work that you do. She does incredible work. I had the privilege and the honor of being at Fashion for Relief and truly just putting together a room full of people that have impact and being one that is a leader in that. We truly admire it, and thank you so much for being here. She has so many vernac names, by the way, that South Africans have given her. Our next speaker, he is film director, producer, as well as grandson. Ladies and gentlemen, Kbn Mandela.
Thank you, Nozama. You know how Trevor Noah always jokes that when Oprah comes to South Africa, all the kids always go, Oprah, Oprah. I think we should say Naomi, Naomi, because you killed that. You know, my grandfather once said to me, when I asked him the question of how did he know, and the many men and women who were fighting against anti-apartheid know that they would be able to overcome it, he said, we just believed. And that refers to me first meeting Hugh Evans and Ryan Gall, who co-founded the Global Citizen Festival back in 2012. You know, they had this huge dream of how could we bring the world closer to eradicating extreme poverty, which at the time affected over 1 billion lives. And they said a similar thing. We just believe that if we can bring enough people together, that if we can get the will from world leaders, from leading CEOs, that we could propel them to continue the SDGs and bring us closer to a world where by 2030 we would see an end to extreme poverty. And so I felt I had a responsibility to join this movement in any shape and form I could, and use my voice and use my actions to galvanize younger people around the world to realize the potential they have to be a part of this cause. And 2 years ago when I approached Hugh about the possibility of celebrating my grandfather's centenary and focusing on the core of how we could end extreme poverty, I knew that it was going to be vital to build a small village. And I reached out to my uncle Jeff, who instantly came to a Global Citizen event and shared the stage with me and really advocated the importance that Africa leads on this. And from there, he reached out to a number of his colleagues to get them excited about the potential to bring this festival here. And one of the things I'd said to Hugh from the start was that we can't call ourselves Global Citizen if we don't have a global presence. And so in 2014, we took the festival to India, and I said this at the launch. I said, India taught us how to love. And I think South Africa taught us how to overcome. And again, we need South Africa to teach us how to overcome poverty. And so this is a huge opportunity for the millions of people in our country to not only come to a concert, but to actively participate again in lifting some of the world's most vulnerable out of a situation and giving them basic human rights. And I hope that everyone in this room will support this and that South Africa will really come to the fore and show why we are one of the greatest countries in the world. Last but not least, I wanted to say that the men in my family taught me how to stand up and be proud, how to fight. But the woman taught me how to love. And I'm forever grateful to all of the women, my mother, my Aunt Zinzi and Zenani. Without them, this event wouldn't have been possible. So thank you all for being here, and I hope you enjoy this journey to December 2nd.
Well said. Well said. Beautiful.
Thank you so much, Kweko. You said something so profound, that South Africans have the ability to overcome, and each and every time we show it. So thank you so much for your kind words, and thank you for being here with us and making sure that this occasion is happening. Ladies and gentlemen, Honorary Minister of Energy, Mr. Jeff Radebe.
Thank you, Nomzamo. I'd also like to take this opportunity of welcoming Hugh, Evans, Naomi Campbell, and other leaders of Global Citizen, my colleague here, Patrice, and his beautiful wife, Precious, Kweku, Magaziwe, Tuwini, the CEO, Hatang Silo, and all those who are present here today. As an official Global Citizen Ambassador and the chairperson of the Inter-Ministerial Committee overseeing the centennial celebrations of Nelson Mandela, I'm very thrilled to be a partner of this great event. This campaign has the support of the government of the Republic of South Africa and is a key part of the official program acknowledging 100 years since the birth and father of our nation, Nelson Mandela. It has also the full support and the personal backing of President Cyril Ramaphosa. This campaign aims to raise 13.5 billion rand worth of new commitments to end the injustice of hunger and malnutrition, to ensure that every child on earth gets the quality education that they deserve, to halt the spread of HIV and AIDS and other neglected tropical diseases, and to provide that basic requirement of clean water and sanitation. The Global Citizen Festival, Mandela 100, will set us on course to achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals by year 2030. I'm extremely delighted, as we have heard from Hugh, that Amina Mohammed, the United Nations Deputy Secretary General and the key architect of the goals, will be joining us on the 2nd of December. I'm also thrilled that already heads of state and government have responded to Global Citizens' call and already confirmed their attendance, including Prime Minister Solberg of Norway, President Akufo-Addo of Ghana, President Masisi of Botswana. President Ramaphosa will, in the coming days, be formally inviting other world leaders and dignitaries from around the globe to participate in this great event at the highest level to make the year 2018 a year that we transform Mandela's vision into reality. With those few words, I'd like to welcome you in South Africa, and we're happy that you've come here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask Chairman and founder of the Kbn Foundation to also give us some lasting words.
Well, the Minister gave the last words. It's just a few to thank everybody, closing remarks from our side, and to start the process of question and answer. But let me once more say, Naomi, you in every sense of the word, embody the very best of Africa, the very best of Mandela, and you'll always have a special place in our hearts. Can we clap hands for her? And Beku, thank you for those. Beku, thanks for those wonderful remarks. You can see he's got good genes. And I mean, who would have thought that a young Australian many years ago would spend 2 years in KwaZulu-Natal and have thousands of South Africans fall deeply in love. Yeah. The Minister was saying he must sing in Zulu.
I can sing in Zulu.
Okay. I think you'll ask some of you to join you. Thank God Precious has never asked me to sing, so thank you very much. No, but the point is just a young Australian came here, fell in love with the country and the people of this country, and who in turn fell deeply in love with him because of his compassion and caring. And for us as South Africans, we have always looked at you as part of us, and we will continue to do so. We are so excited about the focus of the global citizenship, but also what it means to us in South Africa and the continent. Can we clap hands for him once more? And thank you so much, Minister. Huge honor. I can't say, I may not say too much about you because lots have been said. Thank you so much, Mamutsepe, Precious, and to all of the people who are here, and Makaziwe, and Tukwini, and of course Sillo from the House of Mandela, as well as Sillo from the Nelson Mandela Foundation. Just as we close, 2 quick remarks. Precious was talking about the 90,000 people we had for the game between between Nelson Mandela and Nelson Mandela. For the football game we had, which was indeed, we would not have done it because we brought Barcelona a few years ago, and there were discussions to bring them last, but we held it back because this is a very special year for us. But the point is, you had 90,000 people and millions of people watching it. The key issue is that we did that as part of the Nelson Mandela centenary celebrations. But when everybody has gone home, that is the challenge. How does this wonderful event have a meaningful impact on the duties that all of us have to the poor and to the unemployed, and those poor people are the people who made us what we are. And that's why this global citizenship is really unequaled and unique. And for many years we've been saying we want to make philanthropy cool. We want to make it cool to give, and because this country has got the most caring, the most loving people. And we feel it as, we've all experienced it as young boys when we go to communities and people don't know us. Kufika umama uthi kuwe uthi udlile mntwana wami kodwa akakwazi. Usena ko montseng aba go itse. Mme wa go botsisa gore ngwanaka o jele na. And often these are the poorest of our people who really are our role models and the ones who've inspired us. And this excellent event will continue to give focus on the importance of giving, the importance of all of those wonderful SDG goals, and how, but bring it to what it means to ordinary South Africans. So I just want to conclude by saying we are so excited and so grateful, and this will be, I was talking to you that we must think, and Naomi, all of you in the House of Mandela, we should look and see how do we make this an annual event so that once a year there's a focus amongst all South Africans. And we use music and artists, and you cannot think of a greater force to bring focus on those who go to bed at night hungry, and those who need hope, and to say in whatever humble way we can, because when all of us in our humble ways make our small contributions and have this focus that you bring, the impact is enormous. And so I'm very confident that after this wonderful concert, on an ongoing basis, ordinary South Africans, ordinary people in Africa, and ordinary people worldwide will feel the commitment and the inspiration, as well as the spirit of giving by those who are in a position to do so. Can we, in conclusion, clap hands for everybody? And thanks to you, Nomzamo. Thank you so much. Very proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And in the light and in the words of Ubuntu, umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu, thuma mina, in building more humanitarians, those who will lift the lid of invisibility and make a change and be shapeshifters for our communities, for society, for this continent. Ladies and gentlemen, spread the good word. There are about to be more global citizens, right? And more humanitarians. Let us employ each other to do better for each other. Angelina Jolie was receiving an award for her humanitarian work, and she said something extremely profound, and it has literally made a mark in my soul. She said that her mother, before passing away, said to her, she said she made it very clear that nothing would mean anything if I didn't live a life of use to others. And that is why we have the Global Citizen Festival, here to implore each and every one of us to be of use to others. Good luck with getting a ticket. Let's make a change, okay? Thank you so much to everyone who's been here with us this morning.
we are now going to question and answer.
We'd like to open up to the floor. Any questions? Please state who you are and which media outlet you are from and your
also,
questions.
as you ask a question, just indicate the person you want to
Absolutely.
ask the question to, okay? Where do we start? There are roving mics, eh? Okay? I mean, they got such wonderful news. Let me just add, we know that many of you have asked in the culture, always in South Africa, to say, please, we want one-on-ones and we want questions individually after the public press conference. So everybody will be available to do so, but we'll just spend a few more minutes or seconds to see if there are any questions in the public.
That's very clear.
The minister, oh, okay. I thought the minister was...
Hi everyone. My name is Hope Soboko and I'm from Children's Ngo Foundation. I'd like to know more about the process and as how one can get a ticket because I don't understand how.
Very, very good question. Okay, you will deal with it. But what we thought, let's take 3 or 4 questions and then different people will respond. But that's a very, very important question because we have a duty to educate people in terms of how to attend. There's a young lady here. Oh, yeah, sorry, let's start with you because you've got the mic already. Okay.
Thank you very much. My name is Javier Makama. I'm representing an organization called Kbn Foundation. So it's an initiative where we empower entrepreneurs. So what we're doing is, in the spirit of giving, because we have a pillar called generosity, on the 8th of July, 160 entrepreneurs that we are running in our incubation, we gave them a noble cause to go out to different organizations, charity organizations, to give back in the spirit of giving, which is what we represent and share the same sentiment as global citizens and also the Kbn Foundation. So what I wanted to find out, because you give tickets individual, so if we were to engage all our entrepreneurs or the members of our foundation to join initiatives like what we normally do on entrepreneurship development or the community development, would not be possible that we can able maybe to bring our team or the organization to also participate or even in partnership with you. Thank you.
Very good. You will deal with that as well. I saw a hand here in front. 2 hands. Okay. Do you mind standing up so that everybody can see you?
Hi, I'm Ayanda from Bona Magazine.
From?
Bona.
Wonderful.
Just wanted to find out how many tickets are
Sorry?
Just wanted to find out how many tickets are available.
How many tickets are available? Okay, you will deal, I think he started off by saying 100,000 in marriage. You will deal with that as well. Next question, young lady. Welcome, Mrs. Radebe. You look wonderful as always. Thank you. Okay, question? Just introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Zanele Potelwa from 947. My question, I think, would be to Kwekwe, since the vision came from you. In imploring South Africans to go out and make a difference and be a part of this, making sure that we eradicate poverty, what sector are you hoping would be affected the most? Where do you think we need to focus the most in making a difference?
Very good question. We'll come back. Any other question? First round? Any other question? Any other question? Okay. We'll start answering some of the questions.
Do you want to go first and then throw to me?
I'm happy to start. I think one of the kind of biggest challenges we're seeing around Africa is creating opportunities for the youth. We know we have a burgeoning youth around this continent, about 450 million young kids who are now actively going into their societies and looking for opportunities to get jobs. And often that can be an issue. You know, you finish university with a degree or 2, but you still can't find a job. And so how do we begin to empower them, but also encourage our partners to work with us to create these opportunities for them? And I think what activism does, it allows you to realize the power of your actions, no matter how big or small they are, to not only influence our heads of government and our leaders in government, but also the private sector, to actively engage and find unique ways to build entrepreneurs. So I would say that would be the main area that I hope the festival can focus on. But there's plenty of things that we cover within the Sustainable Development Goals, whether it's health, whether it's education, whether it's women empowerment. So all of those things, I think, allow people to find their own core issues that they want to engage on.
Thank you. You?
I'm going to take 3 questions in quick succession. Firstly, how do you get tickets? Secondly, the partnerships with your great work on entrepreneurship. And thirdly, the number of tickets that was asked. So firstly, how do you get tickets? The way you get tickets is you go immediately to globalcitizen.org.za right now and you sign up. That's the first step. And once you're there, you'll be given an email within a few minutes that will tell you the next step. And the next step will be, over the next 6 weeks, you will have the opportunity. Let's thank Naomi for her participation and Kweku. You'll have an opportunity over the next 6 weeks to learn more about the ticket process, but the first way you can earn points is by recruiting your friends and family to participate. So every single person that you recruit to join the movement, you'll earn 1 point. And you basically will go on a journey, and then the number of points that you will earn will start when the action journey kicks in on August 21st. So on August 21st, that's the first time you'll be able to get out there and actually do 2 types of action: grassroots action and systemic action. An example of a systemic action is you can, for example, call on a politician or a political leader to honor a commitment that they've made to water and sanitation or food security or education. An example of a grassroots action,
including energy, no?
Including the Minister for Energy, who's just here. You've got to be ready, Minister Khadibi. And then another example, we're going to be working with community health workers around the Gauteng province. And those community health workers, we're doing this program called Tickets for Testing. Community health workers who conduct HIV/AIDS tests and also who refer best practices around HIV/AIDS training will go into the draw to win tickets as a result of their testing practices. We're also doing Tickets for Teaching, which is teachers and students who implement the top quality curriculum as part of the National School Effectiveness Study. The students who perform the best and the teachers who teach the best will go in the draw to win tickets. That's some of the grassroots actions that are taking place. But the simplest thing you can do right now is, there's a couple things. If you have a phone, you can download the Global Citizen app. That's free. And thanks to Vodacom, it will be 0 rated, so everyone can access it for free all across the country. But you can also, if you have a feature phone, you can go to Facebook Messenger and start to message with Global Citizen. So we have a messaging bot for those that have a feature phone. But the simplest thing to do is go to globalcitizen.org.za and sign up today. The second thing on partnerships, we'd love to chat with you. If you can speak to my colleague Tara, who's here on the ground, Tara, if you could stand up for a second. Tara oversees all of our NGO partnerships, so we'd love to see how we could work with you. We love to build partnerships. At the end of the day, we're a movement, so we're all about partnerships. And the third question around the number of tickets, we're going to use a similar format as the World Cup soccer format, so 100,000 people total at FNB, 70,000 inside, 30,000 outside, and I can tell you that 70% of those tickets will be free in exchange for your actions, and the remaining will go to some of the partners who've contributed to make this event possible. So that's the basic formula.
Thank you. Can we clap hands for you? I mean, that's a very, very good explanation. I saw a few other hands, but I'd like to recognize the trustees from the Kbn Foundation, Dr. Similane, and various others, as well as Freddie Griever and various other leaders from other constituencies that have been, including my brother Nikki. Good to see you, Nikki. All right. Yes. Can we just pass on the mic? And we've got lots of family members here. There's one of our family members who will...
Hi, my name is Crisalda Dudumash. I'm from SAFM, a global do-gooder, proudly so, and one of the first ambassadors of the Nelson Mandela Foundation. My question goes to Mr. Motsepe. How do we create the many Motsepes in Africa? Actually, it goes to both the Motsepes. How do we create the many Motsepes in Africa that we begin to influence Africa's response to its own challenges? We have a sad culture. I mean, I'm going to be one of those active participants in encouraging people to download this, but we know in Africa we focus so much more on gossip and the bling culture and the blesser-blessee culture that doing good becomes secondary, if in any way, unless somebody comes and teaches us to give back to our own.
Yeah.
So how do we go, how do you use your influence to change the culture that we begin to find solutions for our own?
Yeah. Brilliant question. Dr. Precious, you'll take that. Hand in front. You know, we've got this thing at home. All the difficult questions go to... When my son says, Daddy, there's a party, we want to go. I said, did you ask your mother? Because I know when they come to me, it's because mommy says no, you know. Okay, and I'll absolutely crucial, and we'll respond to that. Yes.
Hello. Good morning.
I like your dress. You know.
Oh, thank you.
Beautiful.
My name is Togo Elfik Puli. I'm the director of Uniting to Combat Neglected Tropical Diseases. I would just like to start by congratulating Global Citizen, the Kbn Foundation, the House of Mandela, the government of South Africa for this incredible initiative. I think in this world where everybody is looking inwards, it's fantastic that we can be focusing on something that brings us together as a global community.
Well said.
So well done. And I'm also pleased that we have selected neglected tropical diseases as a focus. And I think this is very much in line with Mandela and really thinking about the poorest of the poor. So my question is, what will success of this festival look like to you? Minister Hadebe mentioned a focus on neglected tropical diseases. So how will success be measured at the end of the day?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Minister Hadebe, will you respond to that? Any more questions? Okay.
Hi, my name's Rev from Right Back TV, and like my mom said here, congratulations, it's a beautiful
That's
initiative.
your mom?
Yeah, any African woman that represents Africa like that is a mother to me.
Absolutely,
yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, like I said, I'm Rev from Right Back TV, and my question is closely related to hers. I'd like to know what's the footprint, as the Honorable Patrice Motsepe said, that's left behind when the music fades and the lights are off. What happens in those communities, and what is it that you want to see happening with this particular festival as well?
Very important.
And then to maybe Tiwa Savage here as well. Hi, how are you doing? Good. What are you hoping to bring to the concert on and off the stage?
Thank you. That's a direct question. She'll deal with it. Any other? Yes, my brother there. Okay.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Vusi from 1KZN TV.
KZN TV.
That's correct.
Tell us now. Sizwe? KZN TV. Yasekhaya leyo.
Siyakubingelela, Hugh.
Oh,
Now, I'd just like to ask a question maybe to Mr. Patrice, that I'm glad you've mentioned an annual event that happens every year. But recently, you were part of the choral music, and we saw beautiful talent of the school children who were, singing very well. How can we, is there a possibility that you can also get those youngsters to be part of the concert so that they will bridge a gap between, those who have made a big name and those who are still aspiring to get to that stage?
What a very good question. We've been for many years sponsoring choral and traditional music. So there are about 10,000 schools in South Africa that participate in that. So I think Precious will partly deal with that. Question there at the back.
Dumelang.
Ningakhohlwa usibare naye now uzothatha my question.
Dumelang. My name is
Just talk a bit louder.
My name is Relebogile Raboroko from.
Tell us down.
No, but I'm changing it to Batrela.
Oh, tell us down.
From Ghetto Raf. I was just wondering, this initiative is very technologically centered, whereby I need access to apps and internet. If I'm a person from, say, a rural area, but I want to participate in this, but I don't have access to that, like my phone isn't good enough to have the app or that type of thing, how can I
very good question. Very, very. They always say the youth will make us much, much smarter than what you've just Excellent question. Okay, any other questions? Are you raising your hand? I see a lapa. That'll be the, okay.
Hi, I'm Danisile from Power FM, and I'm interested in finding out, if you have any sort of measures in place to just ensure sustainability of all these good causes that people will be embarking in. Are you not afraid that this might just be a one-time thing that people would want to do just because they're eager, to have access to the event? What is it that you would like to put in place, or that you are going to put in place to hold people responsible, to ensure that it's a continuous thing that they do to contribute towards improving the lives of people?
Okay, you will. What I was saying is that I'm making this suggestion. We will explore, because I've got no doubt, with a huge passion that Hugh has for South Africa, and the success at the end of the year, there'll be a consideration given to having it annually. Yes.
Thank you. Ntakwarangatani, SABC. My question is, part of the challenges that South Africa faces is as a result of bearing the burden, if you like, of its neighbors, other countries in the region, that end up with people coming to South Africa either for economic reasons or security reasons in their own countries. Now, how do we ensure that this initiative, first of all, can people from other countries participate in this initiative, particularly because it holds leaders accountable for one, but also how does it benefit the other countries so that it eases the burden on South Africa to start with?
Very
and then secondly, we see two young people here, Nomzamo and Ngo, who are already being the faces. How do we get more people like them, and people say they're woke, who are woke, to be a part of this?
Thank you so much. Minister Radebe has to leave, so we'll start with him. I mean, these are brilliant questions.
Well, there was a critical question that was asked of the government of the Republic of South Africa, how to monitor the implementation of all these things that we are talking about. Firstly, as South Africa, we are signatories to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals that we have ratified as the government and the Parliament of South Africa. We have not only done that, but we have also domesticated the Sustainable Development Goals into our National Development Plan, Vision 2030, a badge of which I'm wearing right now. So what it means is that as government, we're also in monitoring these SDGs, we're also monitoring the National Development Plan. Why we support this cause very vigorously, it's just because it gives citizens of any country like South Africa also to do something, to force government to do the right things. So we find this to be like a very good active citizenship of everybody in South Africa and across the globe. That is why we are fully behind this Global Citizen Festival.
Thank you. Can we please clap hands for Minister Radebe?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us, Minister. Can I hand over to you and then...
Yeah, I'm going to answer. There were 6 questions. I'll answer them all in relatively quick succession. Firstly, the question of what does success look like? I bring it back to the statement by Madiba that overcoming poverty is not a gesture of charity, but an act of justice. And therefore, our focus is on advocating for systemic change, not just more charity. I don't believe the world needs more charities. I believe fundamentally the world needs more justice. And the way that's going to happen is when citizens can hold their leaders accountable for the promises that they make to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. So at its core, Global Citizen is about encouraging advocates and activists to hold their leaders accountable on specific promises. So we're going to try to secure over $1 billion or 13.5 billion rand in new commitments from heads of state announced on stage on December 2nd, with at least 50% of those to better the lives of women and girls with a focus on gender equality. They will be on the issues of nutrition and the fact that 27% of children across South Africa are chronically stunted as a result of malnutrition. We're going to be focusing on the fact that still 800 women die every single day in childbirth, and many of the world's leading so-called feminist governments are yet to invest into actually ensuring that there is adequate maternal health. We're also going to be focusing on the issue of education, and we're going to be working with former Prime Minister of Britain, Gordon Brown, on an initiative to provide $2 billion in guarantees to finance education through the Global Partnership for Education, amongst others. We're also going to be working on global health, and we are incredibly supportive of the Neglected Tropical Diseases initiative that you mentioned earlier. Specifically, we recognize that amazing companies like Johnson & Johnson have already donated close to $4 billion in drugs, but those drugs have not been deployed. So we're going to be trying to raise financing to ensure that those drugs reach those who need it most, to tackle really simple diseases like hookworm, highly preventable diseases that just need a simple drug. So there's some of the things. Second answer to your question, I should tell you, I neglected to tell you that the hosts who are coming, in addition to Oprah Winfrey, also Naomi Campbell, who you know, also Gayle King, Sir Bob Geldof, Forrest Whitaker, Tyler Perry, and Bonang Mataba are all going to be part of the host committee, so that will be announced today. The third thing to tell you as part of the leave behind question that was asked is we're very much committed to make this a long-term relationship with South Africa. I personally feel very passionate about South Africa, but I know as an organization we've already established an office here in Johannesburg. We have a small staff that's building. We're committed to be here for the long term, and we're also setting up a leave behind fund that for the next 4 years post the festival will finance and support young advocates to be able to hold their own leaders accountable at a grassroots level. We want to be true to our model. We don't just want to be like every other NGO that's just raising money to build a school here or there. Our focus is very much going to be on that systemic change that Madiba talked about. That's going to differentiate Global Citizen here in South Africa. The other thing to tell you, the next point was around the lack of technology that you raised. We have been making allowances, particularly for people within a 20-mile radius of FNB Stadium, so that we have tickets within the community that will be available offline for those that simply have no online access whatsoever, and my colleague Tara is coordinating that. But what we're also doing is providing access to people who have low bandwidth. So that's where the Facebook chatbot comes in for people, because the chatbot is 0 rated here in South Africa. That's also where we're going to have a text message bot. So we're going to enable people who have feature phones to be able to have access. And there's enormous feature phone penetration across the country and across the continent. Next question about measurement and sustainability. I want to point to the fact that Global Citizen takes accountability very seriously. We have all of the commitments made by world leaders independently audited by PricewaterhouseCoopers. And if a world leader fails to follow through on those commitments, then Global Citizen works to actually hold those leaders accountable. So we have on our board incredible journalists like Ariana Huffington, Randall Lane, the head of Forbes, and we work to actually hold leaders accountable through publishing whether or not they follow through on those commitments. We're not interested in just a flashy, brilliant commitment on a stage. We want to see real lives affected, and the only way you can see real lives affected is if you can measure it. And the way we measure it is through our partnership with PwC. The next point I want to make about Pan-Africanism is this concert is not just for South Africa. This is Pan-African. We're working with President Paul Kagame of Rwanda on an initiative to engage the African Union, and we're also working with Canal Plus to have this broadcast all across the continent, particularly French-speaking West Africa have already signed up, but we have broadcast plans in every market, and we're going to host viewing parties all across the continent. Wow. This is about uniting the world. Wow. Global Citizen, by its nature, is about uniting the world. Yes, it happens to take place in Johannesburg because South Africa is arguably one of the greatest countries in the whole world, but it is a global event, wow. And we've got to remember that.
Can we clap hands for him? Precious?
Thank you very much. Hugh, we're going to give your own little hut in KZN and you settle here in South Africa because you love us so much.
I'm actually going to KZN tomorrow. So.
Fantastic. Just a quick answer on the question of how we create a culture of giving in South Africa and on the continent. I just wish to remind you that as South Africans and as Africans, we're a very giving people. Most of us around here, I mean, most of the successful people that you see, whether they be leaders in government, CEOs of companies, will tell you that somebody has contributed in one way or another towards their education, has mentored them, and that is our culture. So we do have that strong culture of giving. What we need to do is to nurture it, ensure that we do it in a sustainable fashion. We have, as a foundation, quite a huge group of students that we take to university free of charge. They, are studying in STEM fields and all other fields. And what they do, these students, without even asking, they already become our volunteer group because they understand that they have been gifted and they also want to pay it forward. So we always have to remind ourselves it's about paying it forward. I think the other question was on the choral music estate that we recently had. It's called the ABC Motsepe Choral and Traditional Music Estate. Fantastic idea, but our team has already been talking with the Global Citizens team, and we're hoping that maybe at the opening ceremony, when we sing the national anthem, the winners of the recently held competition, which was at the Rhema Church, will be able to give us an item. We actually use these choral chorus very much. We showcase them at the World Economic Forum. They work with some of the companies within the group. We give them an opportunity to show their talent on a global stage. And this is also what I like about this Global Citizens Festival that we're going to have. It's about showcasing local talent. It's about ensuring that our artists, because the creative industry can absorb quite a number of our young people. So when we showcase our young artists, we give them an opportunity to also become big artists and be able to employ others within their companies. So it's about sustainability, and it's also about paying it forward. And just lastly, let me add, from the Motsepe Foundation, when the president says, Tumamina, we say, stand up and be counted. So we have this hashtag that we use, count me in. So please, Priscilla, stand up and be counted.
Thank you. Tiwa Savage will be answering.
What do you bring? I forgot about that. Good morning, and it's such an honor and a pleasure for me to be here in South Africa and to be part of the lineup. I think for me, it's not just about the performance on the night. I think it's a journey to December 2nd and the follow-through afterwards. I think we all have to be accountable. And I want to just implore everyone that it's not just about our leaders, it's about each individual that's involved in this festival. And it's what we do in our everyday lives. Hopefully, emotions will be high that night. Everybody will enjoy the music, the entertainment from the artists. But for me as well, I'm actually challenging myself that it's not just about my performance, but about what I do leading up to December 2nd, and I want to be held accountable for that as well. So whatever it is I commit to doing, and I have a huge heart for girls and women, and for poverty as well. I'm Nigerian, so I know too well about poverty. I wasn't from a rich family, so my mom also always says, your light doesn't diminish when you light another candle, and that rings really true for me. And I want to commit to this, not just for this concert, but for many more years to come, in the little way that I can, involve myself. And I hope that all of us are on the same page and with one voice, and we can make Africa great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to close and we'll take the last. But Griselda raised a very important point. When Ebola started for the first time, a group of us got together as businessmen on the continent, and the undertaking was that we would each contribute at least $1 million so that the African entrepreneurs and business people can take leadership and responsibility rather than wait in the first instance for assistance from above. I mean, we went to Aliko Dangote's daughter's wedding a few weeks ago, and some of our friends there were briefing us, including Aliko, was briefing me about the good work in Nigeria that is being done by a number of very outstanding entrepreneurs. So we have to identify the problems and deal with them. Part of every society is that not to hide or to pretend that the problems and the challenges are not there. You've got to identify them and initiate meaningful steps to correct or fix those problems. But what is even more important is we've got to generate a culture of positive attitude and confidence. You know, sometimes we focus excessively on the negative and the bad and the poor. Don't walk away from the negative and the bad and the poor. Identify it and deal with it. Deal with it. But don't get paralyzed by just focusing on the negative. Step aside, side by side with dealing with the negative and the bad and the poor. There's so much that is positive, encouraging, optimistic about our people, about the continent, and in fact about the rest of the world. So this global citizenship is part of, reflects that in a very unique way. Problems of malnutrition, education, various diseases, and effective steps to deal with those challenges. This is the last round for questions because we're going to close, and just before we close, I'm going to ask you maybe to say something in conclusion. Are there any other final questions other than the private ones? I see a hand there, 2 hands. Other than can we start with the lady at the back? So these are the last questions, and yes.
Morning, my name is Katlaho and I am a third-year student.
You are a student?
A third-year student, yes, at LISOC.
Wonderful.
Oh, wow. So my question, well, before the question, I just wanted to thank you guys for actually bringing this to South Africa. Like, it's just amazing just thinking that this is going to happen and the world can know that Africa is just the bomb. My question is, how many points do you need to earn for 1 ticket?
Good question, actually.
All will be revealed. You've got to sign up before you'll find that information out.
Excellent question. Another question, I think, are you the concluding question, unless if somebody has a final, okay?
Hi, my name is Mpo. I'm from Torino Productions. I just want to direct my questions. The gentlemen have been being bombarded with questions. Dr. Precious Musepe, in the eyes of a 5-year-old girl who's growing up in poverty.
You said the gentleman and Dr. Precious Musepe.
Sorry, the gentleman has been bombarded with a lot of questions.
Oh, I see.
My question is directed to Dr. Precious Musepe.
Excellent.
And the ladies.
Excellent. We answer the easy ones, the difficult ones from the Musepe Foundation. He deals with the difficult and the easy, but from the Musepe Foundation. Yeah, please continue.
Absolutely. My perspective we came from a woman, we were born by a woman. In the eyes of a 5-year-old, right, who's growing up in poverty, based on the concept of global citizenship, you have said he was inspired by it and he started it. So what would Dr. Precious Musepe advise this 5-year-old growing up in just 2 lines or 10 seconds, words of inspiration? Because this is somebody that looks up to you. What would you say?
Yeah, just quickly, you know, because words of inspiration, very excellent, can be, you know, we can encourage this 5-year-old girl to be a doctor, a lawyer. I just want to get more specific, to inspire that young girl in what area specifically, in what context?
So you know, we live in an area of a social media where young girls, things are done to them, they have a certain perspective.
Correct, yeah.
Coming from a perspective of inspired people, inspire people.
Excellent.
What would you say from a woman's perspective? I mean, I've got a daughter myself. I just want to take that and then run with it.
Excellent. Beautiful.
So that it adds a bit
I
of
hope she was excellent. I hope she was here, the beautiful daughter.
I know.
I think you are the last question, eh? Are you the last one? Sorry. I see somebody pointing at, who's the last one?
Morning. My name is Mark. I'm just a young South African.
This global citizen...
Mark, you must come from somewhere in South Africa.
Eastern Cape.
Gopi?
Mthatha.
Tell us down. The Kbn Foundation has got a big meeting in Mthatha in a month's time as part of this broader. We usually get thousands of people at our meetings with students and libraries, laboratories, but Mthatha is a wonderful. You must come and join us in Mthatha.
This festival, it's global as it is, but the carbon footprint is going to be massive for this. How is, Mr. Hugh, how are you guys going to combat the carbon footprint? The planes coming, the plastics being used. It's going to be massive. The fumes from the trucks in and out of the stadiums. I like renewable energy,
yeah.
and I'd like to be a part of it somehow in dealing with the waste collection or getting other youngsters that aren't employed. Say, listen, guys, there's this festival at FNB. Bring your sacks. Let's collect the plastic, or let's collect the cans, the bottles, the glass.
Ubanikam?
Lufefe. Lufefe Spendu.
You know, I must tell you, I never stop being amazed by the brilliant ideas that emanate from our youth. Can we clap hands for him, please? Had you concluded, or you wanted to say something else?
That's it, pretty much.
Wonderful. Masocela ukufunda mfundini uze lapha uze pha sihlebe, maybe there's singayenza enye izinto.
So
there you go.
So that's
so you was asking what I was saying. He understands. I was just saying that, you see, whatever he's doing, there's so much we can, all of us, do with. You represent the very best of our country. Anyway, continue.
So I think this is the final questions for today. So let me close out and say the following. Firstly, in terms of your question of how many points, the way it works is that you have a number of what we call action journeys. They're like segments of time during a short period of a campaign where you can earn enough points to enter that drawer. And then if you earn enough points and if you keep earning, you can enter more times. So it becomes essentially, it's gamified. The more actions you take, the more points you earn, the more times you can enter the lottery, and therefore your greater chance of winning. It's democracy at work. And so that's how it works. But the point threshold is designed based on an individual action journey. We change it each time. That's why you need to sign up at globalcitizen.org.za to be part of the first action journey that starts on August 21st. Put that date in your calendar. August 21st is the big day. The final point I want to make, and I also want to address your wise words, is extreme poverty is a very complex idea and notion. It looks at global aid, global trade, good governance, combating corruption, all of the above. Global Citizen never set out to be the sole contributor to the end of extreme poverty. We each have a part to play. This festival will not be a panacea to the end of extreme poverty. It's impossible. That's why we're making a 15-year commitment to this till we actually see it by 2030. This is not about a day, December 2nd. This is about a movement that goes on for the next 15 years. So if you're signing on, sign on for the next 15 years. Be part of that journey with us. When Nelson Mandela started his journey to end apartheid, many people have criticized him since and say, well, why didn't he address every other social ill while he was at it? I hear those comments across Gauteng. I find that deplorable. I think not everyone has to solve every issue. There's so many of us in this room, we can each champion something ourselves. Come on. We've got to take some personal responsibility for being part of building something greater than all of us. So this festival shall not and will never be a panacea, but it will be part of building a movement for the next 15 years, and we want every single one of you to be part of that. Kwaku Mandela talks a lot about Africa rising. Our narrative is the narrative of Africa rising. It's not the narrative of just poverty, as Patrice said. It's the story of success. And that's why we're going to reward those world leaders who actually take a step in the right direction. And we're also going to be committed to skills sharing along the way. My goal would be that after the end of this year, we could share our skills of how we've produced this event so that someone else can produce the next event next year. It shouldn't be from a young Aussie who lives in New York. It should be from a young person here in South Africa. And so we've got to be skill sharing as part of the process. And finally, to your point about carbon offset, we take the issue of environmental sustainability very seriously. All of the carbon that is produced through the production of the Global Citizen Festival and associated events is offset. But the second thing I'd say is we actually have already set up what we call a Tickets for Trash initiative to encourage recycling as part of one of the action journeys. I'm glad you like that. To drive citizens, and we'd love to work with you. So if you can speak with Tara right afterwards, we'd love to connect. The Tickets for Trash initiative, and we piloted it when we were in Mumbai. Global citizens swarmed onto the beaches of Mumbai. We cleared away all the trash from the beaches so that now people could swim again. That's what we want to do, but we need everyone to be part of it, and that's going to be part of earning tickets to come to the festival. But my final point is as important as that grassroots action is, remember the words of Madiba. We need to advocate for systemic change. We need the Paris Climate Change Agreement to be ratified. And therefore, global citizens need to call on other heads of state who have failed to ratify the Paris Climate Change Agreement. For without it, we'll just be making piecemeal actions here and there without addressing the elephant in the room, which is the ongoing challenge of carbon abatement. So my view is that, yes, we need to drive local action, but we must hold our leaders accountable to make sure that the Paris Climate Change Agreement is fully ratified. That's final words from me. Thank you.
You've just taught me something, because I've got this aunt of mine who wants me to solve all the problems, all of them, including that, I must go and sing for her every morning, which is not such a smart thing. But you've just put your finger on that. Funny enough, that's exactly what Mandela said. Before the first elections, when he said, I'm worried about the expectations of what this new ANC government is going to do. Because with all the goodwill in the world, we will never be able to deal with those challenges. And he said we should temper the expectations and say that, we will all commit and try and deal with those challenges. But we won't be able to solve all of the challenges. But your confidence teaches me to go to my aunt and say, yeah, auntie, some of the things I can help, but others we can't do overnight. Show my Josie. Can we clap hands for her?
Yeah. Woo. Yeah, no, I can't believe I'm here. Imagine. Wow. This is so exciting. I'm so excited about this, and somebody asked the question about how are we going to get more young people involved. Try and stop young people from coming to see Beyonce. Try and stop people from wanting to see Tiwa Savage, Wizkid, and all that. And I think as young people, we get so much criticism. I mean, someone in the room even today said oh, young people are interested in bling and this and that, I think it's really unfair on young Africans to say, us, we must always look downtrodden, us, we must always look hungry and whatever. We also like nice things. We like that, as well, and I feel like it's also part of what Abotata would have fought for. I genuinely don't believe they fought so that we can now be here sad the whole time, The first time I went to FNB Stadium, I was a young baby, and it was at the memorial of Chris Hani, And that was a very bad time for the country. Now we're going to FNB Stadium. Beyonce. And I think that's what everybody that fought for our freedom would have wanted. That we must also celebrate the freedom that they fought for, and that's what I'm there. I'm there to come, and have a good time and to say yes, they fought, and these are part of the results. And I feel like Global Citizen is doing something where they're yes, live your best life here, but first help others. Perfect combination.
Yeah, well said. I've got a cousin who I once said, I want to buy a Toyota. He says, why do you want to buy a Toyota when you can buy something better than a Toyota? Not that Toyotas are not good cars for those who are precious. But
just a quick
so
answer.
Proud of you,
Yes,
Shoma Josie.
thank you.
Beautiful answer and inspiration. Precious.
Inkomo.
Oh, Ngo. It's on.
What is your daughter's name? The gentleman with a 5-year-old. Tia? Naledi. Naledi. Okay. So what would I say to Naledi? She's 5 years old. I'd probably look her in the eyes and ask her what she wants to be. And I'll tell her, you must dream big. You must believe in your dream, and because you can achieve it. It is achievable. You can do it. I would tell her that. But most importantly, it's not what I say. It's what you say as Tia's father. And I'm saying this because when I grew up, my dad believed in me so much, more than I actually believed in myself. And because of that, nobody could tell me otherwise. Because he believed in me, he gave me the power to, and anybody would try to put me down. No, it wouldn't work because of him. So I want you to go back home and tell your daughter, Naledi, that you truly believe in her and that she's great and she can achieve anything she wants to be in the world.
Just, as we close, a month ago we had a meeting in Regina Mundi, because what we do as the Kbn Foundation, there's about 30 places we go to in the country and have meetings like this, which are mainly focused on hearing from the people, because they know better than we do how we can improve their living conditions and change their lives. And the questions you usually get at a mass meeting like this are similar to the quality of questions you get here. Very educational, but also extremely inspirational. We are now closing. Can we clap hands once more for you, Kweku, and everybody? And Bridget, thank you for joining us as well. And okay, so we are now closing, and once more, Precious knew exactly what she was excited about. Oh. And I just want to thank everybody, and
thank you.
We're going to see all of you at the stadium, and it's going to be the most exciting, the most inspiring music concert that this continent has ever seen, but that's also intimately linked to how we can give hope to the poor, to the marginalized, and make this continent and the world as well the best place for all of our people. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Patrice Motsepe. Thank you, Dr. Precious Moloi Motsepe. Thank you so much, Hugh Evans. Thank you, Kweku. Thank you, Shoma Josie. Thank you, Tiwa. Thank you to Mrs. Bridget Hadebe. And thank you to the Honorable Minister Jeff Hadebe in his absentia. Thank you to all the partners that have partnered with the Kbn Foundation as well as Global Citizen Festival. Here is to 100 incredible years, and here's to spreading Madiba magic in the best way that we can. We will see you on the 2nd of December. Oh, and of course, what would an amazing, amazing media launch be without free parking tickets found outside? Free parking tickets, no need to stress.